Hey everyone, and welcome to another video from the Parrott Bros. Today we're going to be discussing front lower arms, wishbones. So before we get into it, let's jump into the intro. Okay, so let's talk front wishbones, front lower arms. So this is a stock wishbone removed from a 2001 Audi TT 225. It's done about 70,000 miles. Now what I wanted to do is, the reason I've left it like this is I wanted to show you what the bush condition's like. Now obviously I don't know the history of the car, so it may have already had some bushes, or these may be the originals. Now as you can see, they are quite worn. This isn't actually that bad. I've seen a lot worse in the past. I'll try and find some pictures to put up on the video as well, but I don't know if you can see that on the camera. There's a small tear appearing here around the bush. As well as obviously the frayed around the aluminium insert. Now the other one doesn't look too bad, but you can see it's a bit chewed up around the outside here. You see it's all chewed up here. So there's a good, obviously that's going to cause a bit of problems, and it's obviously wear. Now there's a few options I wanted to go over you with. Now this is an arm I've had for a while. I've just never actually got around to using it. I bought it a while back and I've just kept it on the shelf because they're always handy as spares. Now this has got the Powerflex bushes in, which are press-in, very much like the Strongflex. They have to be pushed in, and these are, I think these are two-piece, similar to this, and these front ones are one-piece, and they can be just pushed in with a vise. But I'll go into company-specific things in a minute. Now, to get these out, you have one of two options. Now, the normal way to do it is with a press. So you will put a ton of pressure, or half a ton of pressure, whatever, in a press using a guide that's the same size, because this has a metal outer collar, and you'll basically press this out, and the same with this other one as well. Now they are, if you don't have a press, obviously it's not ideal. You can pop it to a local car garage, and I'm sure if you give them a drink they'll be more than happy to do it for you. Or the other option is you can drill. If you get a drill bit and drill all the way around to the point that you can break this centre out, and then get a hacksaw and carefully cut the metal outer collar. What I'll do is I'll pop a picture up on the screen now of an original bush so you can see what I'm talking about. And basically you just get a hacksaw and just cut and break that, so then you'll be able to tap it out with a hammer and like a drift or a hard object, and that'll just get that one out. And this one very much is similar. Run a drill round the outside of the bush, small bit, run a bit round, and then that will start to loosen. You'll be able to push that out, and then again cut the metal collar. Both have a metal collar. I'll flash up a picture of the original version of this. Now, options for replacements, there's quite a few. We'll start with the stock options. Now, to replace both these bushes, you buy them individually. To buy a good manufacturing brand like a Febby or a Merle or something equivalent to what they would be stock, these ones are about £11 each, and these ones are about £14 or £15 each. So you're looking at sort of just over £50 to replace it with stock. Now the stock ones are quite good. A lot of people upgrade these arms from a Mark IV Golf or a Leon non-Cupra R, because they don't have cast arms, they have pressed arms, so there's a lot more flex. So these are actually an upgrade for some people. And a solid bush will give you quite a lot of support. Now that's these stock options, so obviously you can replace them. Now putting them back in again, all bushes can be put back in with a vise if you've got a vise or equivalent tool, something you can sort of press it in with, or a press. Or again, if you don't have that, pop back down to your garage if you've got a friendly garage, and they'll be able to do that for you. Because a lot of these bushes come as one piece, so they will need to be pushed in. They're not two piece like this. Right, moving on to the Powerflex option. Again, one piece and two piece, similar to the Strongflex. And they normally run you about £110 for the pair. There is an option for the Strongflex ones, which are pretty much the not too dissimilar from these. And these are about £90 for the set. You can see there a similar design makeup, a bush, and then you just once you've pressed that in, pop that into the centre. And the other ones The front bushes are 2-piece, so all you do is push them in from either side and then put the dowel through the middle. So yeah, they'll run you about £90. Very, very similar to the Powerflex. It's because I bought the kit of all bushes for the whole car, so I am going to be refurbishing these arms and using these bushes. You can also, so we've covered the stock replacement, we've covered the Powerflex, we've covered the Strongflex. Cookbot bushes are a really popular option. Now, I'll flash up some pictures on the screen while I'm discussing it so you can see what I'm on about. But basically, Cookbot do a bush which, instead of being this bush here, it's quite a large one, they actually do one that's a 30mm bush, so it has a metal sleeve to reduce the size of the bush, which then obviously gives you excuse me, reduces the size of the bush, and then it gives you a smaller bush, which means obviously less play, which is quite a preferred option. And they're about £65 for the sleeve and the bush to go in them. And then for the rear, they do either a replacement similar to the Powerflex that I've just showed you, or they do one that has a caster adjustment, which gives you a 1 degree of extra caster or less caster, which is quite preferred if you're doing a lot of track days, race stuff, or like to drive your car particularly hard. So that's quite a good option, and that's probably the most popular option I've seen over the last couple of years, based on the forums and the Facebook groups for this platform. Now if bought together, I believe are only £165, so they're not massively expensive over everything else. You're sort of looking at an extra 50 or 60 quid over just the Powerflex option. Obviously a little bit more caster and a little bit less play does make for a slightly tighter feeling car. And the other option that I've not discussed is a new arm. Now you can buy these brand new off the shelf. Obviously they won't be a genuine arm, they'll be an equivalent part, which is not a problem, they'll be perfectly fine. The cheapest one I could find on eBay was £65 per arm, so you're looking at £130 a pair. Obviously you don't want to replace just one side, because then one side will be tighter than the other. And they come, yeah, so £130 for a pair, but that will be with the cheapest of cheap bushes. If you go for a brand name, you're looking at probably £70 or £80 an arm, so £150 or £160. Labour costs, if you were to take this to a garage, providing they didn't run into any issues, you're probably looking at sort of £50 or £60 to get the front arms either changed, like replaced like for like, or to get the bushes swapped out. So it's not a massively expensive job. I would recommend getting new bolts if you're going to be doing it, which is an extra few quid, but it is worthwhile. I always like to replace new bolts when you're doing something, because if it does thread or you do get any issues, for what the bolts cost, it is definitely worth doing. Also, you can replace the front ball joints. I will do another video at a later date covering the options of ball joints, because you can put a Mark II TT on to give you a little bit more adjustment in your camber and caster, but we'll go into that on another video. So yeah, we'll quickly go back through the options. Obviously you've got the standard replacement bushes, just replacing the bushes. You can replace the arm, you can replace them with Powerflex, with Strongflex, or with the Cookbot option with the smaller bushes and the caster adjustment, and that is pretty much it. Now I will go through all the details on the description below, and it will have all the part numbers, and I'll try and throw some links up there, non-affiliated, not sponsored or anything, they're just links that I found off the internet for the things I've discussed. Also, head over to the card, which I'll put up into this corner, and that'll take you to our playlist of all the things that we've discussed, Audi TT, mods, upgrades, how-tos, fixes, all the sort of guides that owning a 1.8 turbo you'll need to know, or may need to know in the future. So give that a look. If you enjoy it, like and subscribe. We'll appreciate it. And also, what I'll just quickly show you is how I've refurbished these arms. Now, they were just rubbed down with a wire brush, just by hand, just getting the worst of it off. Most of it's mud. There's a little bit of light corrosion on there. And then I used a Hammerite metal paint, which is a direct to metal paint. So once you've got all of the dirt off, give them a good clean, get them a hose off, wait till they're dry, give them a quick brake cleaner or something, and then I've just used this, which is a direct to rust metal paint. It's called Hammered Black, and it gives you quite a nice finish, not too far from standard. Good few coats of that, and then it should be good for another 5 or 10 years hopefully. So yeah, that is that. If you've done anything other than this, or if you've done a specific one and had a problem, or you prefer it and you've got reasons why, please jump into the comments. I'll be happy to hear it, because I'm always like to hear things that I've not known before, or get more advice from people who have had more experience. But yeah, thanks for watching guys. That's another video from the Parrott Bros.